Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video on my YouTube channel. I'm Nicholas. And this is the one we've all been waiting for, isn't it? This is the one that every single Supermassive fan of this channel has waited for. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome! My Supermassive Games tier list for every single Supermassive Games character. Gonna be a long one. The moment this video releases, this will be exactly 24 hours up until the Until Dawn remake, which I'm unbelievably excited for, which we're definitely going to be playing. And I thought, ahead of that, we should do something special, which is this. Before we start and go into the tier list, I have unfortunately to share that when the game releases tomorrow, I'll be at work and I won't be home up until like 7 hours later. Yeah, the game releases at 5 PM around my time and I will be home around midnight, so yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. I don't know why we don't do midnight releases anymore. It would have been really cool, but what can you do? That means, yeah, I won't be able to start into it right away, but then I'll see how I feel when I get home, if I'm too tired to play or not. Nonetheless, I've waited so long to play this game on PC. I think those 3 hours we can go through as well. With that being said, let's get to this tier list that, like mentioned, so many of y'all have been waiting for. And that is categorized under 6 tiers. We got the GOATs / S tier, which is, well, the best Supermassive Games characters ever. A tier is basically amazing, so the really good ones / the best, so not the best of all time, but among the best characters they've ever done. B tier is great, yeah, really likable, good characters. C is good, yeah, it's average, it's the middle, just okay, basically not just okay, because that is what D tier is. It's like, okay, yeah, you know. And then we got F tier, which is basically the worst. And there will be one character down there, well, there will be exactly 10 into the GOATs category, so that is kind of nice. Yeah. A couple of characters included in this tier list template that I'm not going to rank at all. These are the ones you usually see in the Prologue and the DPA games. In this case, for Casaga Frank Stone, I've ranked both Sam and Linda not separately given their timelines, but like as one, so that's the same case here. Same for Frank. And yeah, these characters are like, you see them for like 3 minutes or so, who cares? Yeah, we love Connie, but yeah. Luckily enough, this template didn't include all these 50 million background characters that nobody cares about. Like, anytime I checked up a template like that, I saw these background characters that you see like for 30 seconds in the Man of Medan or whatever, where I'm like, who cares? Nobody wants to rank those. But here is our list. Go through chronological order, starting with Until Dawn, ending it all with the casting of Frank Stone. A lot to go through. Let's not waste any more time. Get to it. Until Dawn. We kick things off with Beth, which I think we can all agree is good. You don't see her a lot. She's very restricted to the prologue. We will probably be getting more scenes with her in the remake, but like, you know, she's somewhat of a supportive character that gets a bit more attention, that is actually important to the story, but is ultimately like nothing special or crazy or anything. It's a good supportive character role, which is why we put her onto C. This is now an interesting one, because down in this list we have like all of the villains included, including Frank, including the Met and whatnot. Given the fact that the Wendigo is basically Hannah, I'm going to be counting / ranking Hannah here, not just as the Hannah we see in the prologue, but also as the Wendigo. Yeah, Hannah as a whole, basically as the victim that then, like I mentioned, turns into that monster, which is why I have to put Hannah into the S tier category. Yeah, I've said it before, I've said it again, that the Wendigo is simply untouchable. The Wendigo is untouchable. it would probably never happen that they would be able to outdo it, and the Wendigo is basically Hannah, yeah, and that's what makes the Wendigo so tragic and so special and so fascinating and so cool, because it's Hannah and the backstory to it and what happens ultimately. S tier, 100%. Yeah, like I mentioned, this isn't just Hannah in the beginning of the game, this is Hannah as the Wendigo throughout the entire story, and that is S tier, 100%. Ashley is A tier. Like mentioned, this ranking isn't solely based off of how much I like a character or not. Yeah, this isn't a personal favorite type of ranking, or like a ranking dependent solely on I like this character more than the others. This is fully based on what I think of the character as a whole. So likability is obviously a part of it, but also what does the character add to the story, how does the character work in the choices, and all of that stuff. And when it comes to that, Ashley is really, really good. You can, like mentioned, do the split thingy where you can have her either be a very sorry, terrorized young girl, or someone that didn't care about what happened and basically a bitch, yeah. So you have a lot of layers to her character. There's a lot of focus on her. A tier is absolutely fair, similar to Chris. Chris is great. Chris is really, really great. I think I would put him above Ashley because I think he's a bit more likable and neutral in that sense. And he just has a lot of cool scenes to him as well. And he definitely takes in the main character role for like the mid game, right? Up until the point where Josh gets rid as killer, he's basically the main character, right? He's the focus, he's one of the focus of the story and around Josh and whatnot. I think Chris is definitely here as well. Emily, without a single doubt, also S tier. She's one of the most popular characters, she's one of the most talked about characters, one of the most polarizing characters, and all for the right reasons. Starts as annoying brat, turns into an absolute badass that you root for, that really, really wins people over. The amount of times I've seen people in their playthrough be like, whoa, Emily is actually cool as fuck, you know, in the middle of it. It was amazing, and I'm very excited to see the same thing happen now with the remake as well. Emily's fantastic. I wouldn't put her above the Wendigo, but she's fucking great. Poor Jessica. She's a bit of a sad case. We will have similar cases later as well. I find her likable, and what we did with her that we got is fine, but like it's just not enough to put her higher than B tier. I think it's great what we have with her in the game, but there's just so much potential that wasn't really utilized. As a matter of fact, I thought about putting her into C tier at first because there's just so much wasted potential, but I couldn't bring it over my heart. I literally couldn't bring it over B2 to put her into C tier. It would have hurt me. Josh is the character that I ranked as the best individual character in Until Dawn, and that point still stands. He's a tragic victim. He's the sole focus of the story. He's the reason everything that happened a year after takes place, from his mental state to what he does to his tragic finish to the story, which might actually have a different outcome this time around. If you watch my achievement video for the remake, we will figure that out together over the weekend. I've luckily avoided spoilers. George is a goat, 100%. Other questions do if I think everyone will keep the Wendigo up on top of here. But Josh definitely, like, he's fucking incredible. Matt, similar cases, Jessica, sadly didn't get too much screen time, could have done more with him. I think I would definitely put him above Jessica because he does have some more screen time and a bit more to the story, and the more things you can do with him, but still not enough to warrant A tier, but still great for what he got. Same case here as for the others. Mike, an absolute goat, one of the most notable characters in the franchise, in this game. He's got a lot of plot armor, which is a bit annoying. But he's Mike, man. His chase scene with Jessica, you know, which is, like mentioned, similar case with Emily. He starts as a bit of a prick, but, like, you know, midway through, when he goes to the sanatorium, and then goes through all of that shit near the end game, he really, really wins people over and becomes a big, big fan favorite. I think I would put him Did I put him above or below Emily? I only really made notes about who I want to put in which tier, but not the tiers in between exactly. I think I would have to look at how I ranked it in my video, right? Should probably stick to that then, because remember we did a video where we ranked every single character. In the meantime, obviously, when I'm looking that up, Sam, same case here, 100%. Sam, I know a lot of people actually have been telling me they think she's a bit overrated because she doesn't do so much for the first half of the game. But I think her level of likability and the amount of badassery that she then does show in the second half of the game, there's a reason why she's so popular, and there's a reason why she's so iconic, and there's a reason why, you know. Hayden Panettiere herself actually said she would have loved to portray her in the movie. Yeah, that's something I actually should have made a video about it, or at least a short about. She actually does, or did say she would have loved to play Sam. But as we know, obviously, those characters actually aren't in the movie as it is, yeah, because the thing just got really, really changed up. But yeah, Sam is fucking great. Now let's see, who did I have where? I had Josh on 1, I remember that. I had... Oh, wait, look at that. Okay, if we stick to my video, then I need to put... Hannah on 2 and Josh on 1. If we stick to my video. Yeah, then we definitely do that. I definitely want to stick to the video I did back then. That is really, really good that I remember that. In the meantime, like mentioned, while I still look all of that up, Dr. Hill is, in my opinion, B tier. I think he's a great narrative-like character. His scenes were really, really, really good throughout the game. And a lot of flavor to the story, in my opinion, similar to the Curator and Eliza, which we will get to later. He's great. I think he's really, really, really good. Same thing for the Stranger, who would actually even put above him. Yeah. He has a lot of scenes sprinkled throughout the game. Part of me actually wants to even put him above these two, simply because I feel like it would be not necessarily unfair, but like, man, he's such a fucking cool character, yeah. He played this protector role of the mountain. He had such a mystery to himself. His reveal dialogue was so cool. He's great, yeah. He's definitely a very big B tier. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so this was my ranking in the video. Alright, then we do that. I actually had Mike on 3, Emily on 5, and Sam on 4. And I think that's fair. Yeah, Mike, like mentioned, definitely gets the biggest spotlight of all the characters in terms of gameplay and highlight scenes and whatnot. You could argue that you could put Emily above Sam after all. And I think I might want to even do that now, looking back to it. I can't watch a video now to see how I argumented, but you know, because Emily has a bit more focus in the middle, but I think this is fair. I think this is fair. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I mean, come on. Yeah, and then last but not least, our dearest Wolfie is a bit obviously a special extra case. The reason why we have Connie did not rate, but we actually do rate Wolfie, is because Wolfie actually feels like a character in some way. And Wolfie's picture. Yeah, Wolfie's great. We love Wolfie. Wolfie's great. We get to Man of Medan, and Man of Medan is an actually very quick case for me to make. Remember, I actually worked on a video where I wanted to rank every single Dark Beast Anthology character against one another. Never got to that. Basically becomes unnecessary now, because you will now see how I would have ranked those. I may make it still down the line. Just never got to finishing it, ADHD things. But this game is very, very simple to rate when it comes to its main characters. I think Conrad is great. Conrad is fun, Conrad is entertaining, he definitely is the most personality out of all of the characters, and I would rank him somewhere... I think all of these are better. And all the other 4, I put into C tier. All the other 4 are good. Yeah, not bad, but not too great either. Because, like mentioned, Man of Medan has this very big problem that is also great, where each character is like not fully developed or not as special as they could be, so that you can do this entire thing where the characters can actually interchange their positions so much throughout the story. And it's a bit of a, you know, this is good, but it also affects that, you know, a bit of a snowball effect. To make that happen with the interchangeable positions, we needed to make the characters less story, or yeah, you know, less held onto the story, so that we can actually make that happen in a sensible way. You couldn't do that in other games, and like Underdawn, you couldn't change Matt and Mike's position. It makes no sense, right? You can do that in Man of Them because these characters aren't as individually, you know, explored. Question 2, we think between those four is better. I think I like Julia the most. Alex is a bit of a bland case. I think Brad has a bit more personality than Alex. Alex is fine, but like, he's like just very bland. And I do think I would put Fliss. Actually, I think I would do it like this. I think Fliss has a bit more to her character than these other three. I think Julia is a bit more likable and has a bit more, you know, I really like her character arc with the entire, what means arc, but like the entire thing with the, you know, that she can die at the very end. If she didn't do that in the beginning, I feel like that's very fun. Similar to like how Conrad has an entire thing with the, you know. Actually, then I think I would have to put it like this. Because Brad also has that thing where he, you know, this individual aspect where he can stay behind for a while longer before joining, which can have a bit of an impact. I think this is fair. Yeah, I think this is fine. Then we have the three, like the enemy trio, which I think are all also good. Actually, I think Danny is the first one I would put into D tier. He's like, whatever, he felt like the weak, overlooked link in this trio, while the other two had definitely a bit more focus. I think Olsen is a really cool villain. Yeah, I think it was actually scary and really well done. And Junior has this very cool scene, which really fucked me up, with the where he might shoot himself or not. I feel like that's a very impactful moment in the story, potentially, which I will definitely put him above Olsen for that, even though Olsen's also pretty great. Part of me actually thinks I might want to put these two above Alex. Again, I don't hate Alex whatsoever, but he's like mentioned so bland. Like a little to no personality. He's like there. He's a guy. Yeah, like mentioned, Brad at least had this entire history aspect and, you know, this IT thing to himself. Yeah, I think I want to do that. I want to put Beth above Alex, maybe. Nah, I think that's fair. Yeah, again, I don't hate Alex whatsoever, but like, he's just really bland. There's really not a lot to him. Little Hope, Andrew/Anthony is, in my opinion, wait, yeah. I think as a main, like I mentioned, Little Hope is such a unique case. It's so hard to compare to the other games. But I feel like both as the character, you know, that is with the tragic backstory and everything, plus the fact that you know, or like how he plays out in the rest of the game. At first, I wanted to put him maybe in A tier because his character as a whole is really tragic and cool. But B tier is fine. I would put him above Conrad. I'll put him here. I think this, I like the Stranger a lot, man. I think, yeah, I just like him a bit more, but he's definitely, you know, more important than these guys. Angela is like, Angela, I don't know, man. Angela is like, actually, we do it like this. John, I think, is great too. I really like John. I think I would put him at the bottom of great here. I, like mentioned, really like this dialogue. I really enjoyed listening to him talk. Like Little Hope, as I mentioned, very dialogue focused in general, and I feel like I really enjoyed this dialogue a lot listening to. The other ones are like really whatever, man. I would put Angela and Daniel into D tier like this, where they're like really just okay. And y'all know me, I just can't. I just don't like Taylor whatsoever. She like literally was the only character who at the, like, throughout the game and at the end of the game I felt like I didn't like. Yeah. literally the only character, which is why she has to be an F tier for me. The singular F tier. I can already spoil so much. Taylor, in my opinion, the least likable character in Little Hope. I don't know. Like, as a character, as a story, in some of the story in the game, actually, like, not that terrible, but, like, I don't know, in terms of, like, ability, she was, like, really, really meh. Then we had... God, what was her name? Megan. Megan is great, too. She also has this bit of a tragic part of the story to herself, which I feel like is really unique and cool, which is why I would put her, like, at the bottom of B tier. Yeah, I feel like her role as a character throughout the story was really, really intriguing. Again, it's so difficult. Little was just such a unique case where it's like ranking those characters and, you know, their impact in the story and the game itself is so, you know, I've mentioned it's the most unique game they've ever done. But I think this is like somewhat fine. Revenant Carver is like good, I think. Bottom of C tier, and I think I would put Vincek at the bottom of C tier too. Wait, would I actually rank those higher than those two? I would put Carver definitely then high, because I feel like yeah, I think I would do so actually. Because, you know, Vince actually, I think I'd do this. Carver is like, you know, this representation of the priester that abused Megan as a kid, which I think they did really well. Generally, this entire back and forth between the period times and, you know, the modern ones was really well done. And Vince as a character is actually pretty cool, because he, like mentioned, is actually that same person that we saw back then, who was the boyfriend of Andrew's sister, who then actually played this vital role in the end of the game as well, and kind of also was decisive to the fate that Andrew ultimately would end up at. Which is why I would actually put him above Alex. I'm sorry, Alex. I really don't hate you, man, but you just... all these other characters are just way more interesting. Oh my god, I'm not gonna put him into D tier, 100% not, but I feel like he might actually be the bottom of C tier. It's so unfortunate. Again, all of these characters aren't that crazy either, but like I feel like they at least have an ounce of personality to himself. Other than the fact that that he's Brand's brother and Julia's boyfriend, he's like really nothing going on. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like mentioned, Carver's role as a villain was really cool, so I would actually do this. And ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at House of Ashes. And let's not lie, Salim and Jason, goats. As a duo, arguably the best duo in Supermassive Games history. And I would go as far and say that Salim might very well be... Would I say it? Would I say it? Would I consider Salim the best Supermassive Games character ever, above Josh and above the Wendigo? Again, this is a bit of a difficult case because both, you know, Hannah is a bit of a weirdo, like mentioned here, but it's actually so difficult. It's actually so difficult. I don't remember if I ever talked about this or not. Or like if I ever, you know, already said at one point what I actually think is the case, but man, Salim is fucking cool. Salim is so fucking cool. Such a tragic, well-written, entertaining, fun, lovable character who can also actually be really, really cruel and, you know, the exact opposite of the way we played him, you know, where he isn't actually a anti-war type of guy, but actually just becomes, you know, your typical soldier. Same for Jason too, which is actually what makes his character so great, and yes, that's why we are putting him up there. You can make Salim... You can play Salim as someone that actually does not give a fuck. It's just your... You know, it's just a heartless, coldless soldier who's just doing his job for his country. But you can also make him that the decisive and characteristic character that stands up against his regime, that says, fuck war, we need peace, I just want to get home to my son. And then when I think of his ending, where he walks through the sun to his child, to his son, yeah, Salim is the GOAT. Yeah, I think I would actually settle down with that. Salim is the GOAT. Yeah, House of Ash, like mentioned, the only game, in my opinion, that can compete with Until Dawn's greatness. And Salim is one of the main reasons for that. Yeah, I think this is fair. It's a bit of a inner conflict where I'm thinking, is it really Josh? Is it really Salim? Again, the Wendigo remains the best monster they've ever done, and that will never change. But I feel like as a character, I think it's fair to keep Hannah a bit lower here. But yeah, I put Salim up here. And Jace, like mentions, also S tier, and I would put him here. Yeah, I would put him, because similar thing. You can make him a very racist, typical American soldier, or you can make him someone that grows as a person, that sees that every human is valued the same, and becomes best buddies with Salim. I think putting him like in the middle of S tier here is totally acceptable. Obviously, action scene wise, he had so much going on as well, so many badass, cool scenes. I think putting him above Mike, because he had even more action and character going on, but below Hannah, who, like mentioned, is the tragic Wendigo character. I think that's very fair. And the rest of House of Ashes all go straight up into amazing tier. And I think even above Chris and Ashley, I'd say. Actually, I do like this. I think Nick is one of the best, but I would put him below here because he feels very restricted in some way. His character doesn't have as much assets to himself, and his choice was also very restricted to, you know, he's always in the end game, he's always a bit plot armored into that, you know, which is definitely why I put Ashley and Chris above him. But I would put Eric and Rachel top of A tier, because their characters are really well written, great dialogue. I love their relationship drama going on, actually one of the most intriguing ones they've done. And the fact that their impacts and the way their lives are, you know, can impact the game so much. I've said it before, if Eric dies early, you miss out on so many cool potential outcomes, similar to Rachel. And Rachel herself can have so many different things happening to her. The entire thing with the cocoon, killing herself, being blown up and all that shit, right? The top of 8 here, both of them, for sure. So I would only have to think about if it's Rachel above Eric or Eric above Rachel. I feel like I would put Eric above Rachel simply because she's a cheater. And Eric, my god, his dialogue was so fucking cool. Listening to him talk in like the middle of the game with Salim and everything, his voice delivery and everything. Eric is fucking cool, man. Huge Eric fan here. I think this is, yeah, I think that's how we do it. The remaining supportive characters of Ashes are also actually pretty damn solid. I would consider that these three are among the best supportive characters I've ever done, like as the characters, you know, that are like alongside the main cast. Joey goes into C tier for me, because his fate is a bit very restricted / limited. I think I would put him at the bottom of C tier, which is very fair. Yeah, Alex, you're not the bottom of C tier anymore. Because he, you know, he always dies the same way and he always attacks your character the same way. But Mervyn and Clarice have really cool facets to the character, where Mervyn can just die early and nothing happens, or you manage to keep him alive and he's able to call air control, which has a huge impact on the rest of the story, which I think is really cool. And same for Clarice, where you can leave her behind, which leads to her getting affected and attacking you later, or you bring her along where you may shoot her or she turns into a vampire and whatnot. It's really, really fun. I think it's a really cool, you know, variation to how the game can play out. I think I would put Mervyn above Clarice, and I would ultimately say that I would put both of them like here. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think they're among the best supportive characters I've ever done, for sure. Dar is like here. Yeah, he's like a very stereotypical soldier general, right? Nothing more to it. And those two, you can technically rate them as one and the same. Oh, they're like bottom of C tier. I think this entire like the idea behind them, you know, being like these ancient soldiers, and then one of them ends up being this, you know, one of them ends up become. Actually, never mind. This is fucking cool. Because one of them becomes this ancient vampire that haunts us at the end of the game, and another being trapped in that cocoon for thousands of years before being put out of their misery. That's actually pretty fucking sick. Yeah, that's also the reason why I wanted to rank them outside of those characters, because, like, you know, these are like whatever. But it's actually pretty. It's actually metal if you think about it, like mentioned, right? I would put them above Olsen and Junior. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. You know? Yeah, I think that's totally cool. Our dearest, the Quarry. Now, I'm doing the same thing here that I did now for Until Dawn. I will use the video that I made back then, so I'm definitely in line with that. Even though, like mentioned, we did adjust it here a bit. Well, actually, like mentioned, I had Emily on 5 and Sam on 4, but I think you can still, you know, say that Emily's maybe better than Sam, slowly, with the fact that she has a bit more highlight scenes in the mid game, but like I mentioned, I think this is totally okay. It's both are goats, you know. The Quarry. We love the Quarry. The Quarry's characters are really, really freaking fun. Abigail is extremely likable. Abigail is unimaginably likable, and I definitely want to put her into A tier. I think for now at the bottom, she's a really likable girl. Sadly, doesn't have too much impact story-wise. She's a bit more of a side character. It's similar in that sense to Jessica, just with a lot more scenes, which is why I think bottom of A tier is totally fine. And I mean S tier, of course. The question now is where in S tier? Oh lord. Goodness gracious. We love Dylan. Dylan is an extremely likable character, unimaginably funny, smart, huge impact on the story. Actually not that huge. Yeah, because if he gets infected, it doesn't change too much. He has some cool scenes that may have him do it, but like he doesn't kill anyone if he gets infected or so. Yeah, if you think about it, Dylan actually doesn't have that much story relevancy. Yeah, like, you know, he's like great as a character and everything, but like, you know, he's not like that impactful in terms of the story, but obviously he's still unbelievably entertaining and one of the most memorable characters I've ever done. Where to put him though? I wouldn't put him. I know so many people would argue he's like top 3, right? Minimum. But I feel like I actually like Jason's character arc a whole lot more. And I, like mentioned, believe that the Hannah Wendigo story arc is just so damn impactful and memorable. I think putting him on number 5 is very fair. Yeah. I think this as the top 5 is very, very fair. Salim, like mentioned, as the number 1, Josh as the tragic main character of Until Dawn, Hannah as the Wendigo, who's, like mentioned, the most memorable monster they've ever done, and most tragic character they've ever done in that sense. Jason as arguably the one with the best character arc, and Dylan easily among the most entertaining and fun characters I've ever done. I think that's very fair. Emma is A tier as well. Where did I rank her though? I think I ranked her. Where did I rank her? Oh, wait, I think I ranked her on. Hold on, I think I ranked her. Wait, where the fuck did I rank her? Oh, we did some mistakes here, didn't we? Oh, I think we did some mistakes here. Because I would, yeah, okay, the ranking I did back then was definitely a bit more in terms of likability, because I think I ranked her. Oh my god, wait there. Okay, we definitely gotta change this. Emma was actually on 10th place across my ranking, with some supportive characters above her, which I would definitely not do for this full ranking here right now. I think Emma definitely belongs above Abigail, and I think she definitely is above Nick, because she, like mentioned, as a character, what I like mentioned love so much, you can be split on her personality and everything, how likable she is, but as a character, her impact on the story is massive. Yeah, super massive, if you want to say so. I mean, if she dies in chapter 4, then whatever, but if she survives and gets infected, then oh boy, that changes so much. And this is entire arc with Jacob that can go deep into chapter 10, which can make up for some really great additional scenes. I put her back then on rank 10 because she, like mentioned, really didn't feel that likable after the first playthrough. But nowadays, not only did she definitely become more likable, but she also, like mentioned, is as a character just very strong and very impactful to the game. Jacob, I had below Abigail, but I think I would definitely put him here as well, similar. Like mentioned, these two are really cool and likable in their own way, but like simply don't have that much variety to their characters and sense of choices. I think I would actually put Jacob above. I think I put Jacob above Emma. Not only because he's more likable, and obviously we all love Zack Tinker in this house, but also because Jacob as a character got so much cool shit going on, bro. From, you know, the amount of insane deaths he can go through to getting infected or not. This character sadly does have that problem that he always gets locked up no matter what. But like mentioned, everything around him is, you know, he's funny, he's entertaining. Like mentioned, Zack did a really great job with the character portrayal. The variety of his deaths are so fucking cool. And his ending where he, you know, cries in the forest and everything, or like, you know, his entire arc with Emma is also really great. You can really, depending on who you like more, rank those two here. Emma above Jacob, Jacob above Emma. I think Jacob above Emma is the choice I think is a bit cooler because I feel like he's a bit more to his character. My beloved Caitlyn, S tier for me as well. Similar to Sam, a pick that a lot of people would say is overrated. Where they think like, yeah, she's great, she's a cool character, but like, you know, necessarily among the goats. But I personally just love Caitlyn, man. She has that same thing going on as Sam, where she's just so unimaginably likable and badass that I just can't help myself. I just really, really love her a lot. Even though, man, if I do have to think though, that if I put them up here, then I might have to put those two up there too. Because like mentioned, you know, there's just so much cool sides to the characters. But I kind of also like them as a top of A tier. That's a bit difficult. Because again, if we look at Caitlyn, she definitely has a bit of a similar problem as Sam, where she just doesn't have a lot going on for a good portion of the game, and she needs to shift some gear. Yeah, is, you know, the first chapters are always like the same thing at every game. There's always like the same amount of attention to everyone. Then through chapter 3 to 6, she's like, she's there, she's present, but like no huge focus on her. You know, the focus there definitely goes to Jacob, Emma, and Abigail and so on. But then when chapter 8 kicks in, she's just amazing. Yeah, she takes that leader role, she takes that badass main girl role. She can be the final girl, actually. There's literally an achievement for it. You know, which really, really puts her high. How I mentioned, if I put her into S tier, then I feel like Rachel and Eric need to go there as well. Because they, like mentioned, have not only very great character arcs and cool voice deliveries and everything, but also because there's so much to the characters, right? But also because there's so much to the characters. Again, Caitlyn was just insanely likable. The both of these two definitely more likable in that sense. I do gotta say, crushing on Brenda's song as a as a young kid definitely helped on top of that. But this is difficult for me. I would definitely keep Caitlyn at the bottom of S tier though. I think that's definitely fair to say either way. If we want to put her in S tier, then keeping her at the bottom of it is definitely very fair. So we move on for now, then we get back to that. I actually had Laura on 3, and I think that's very fair. We put her into A tier for sure. I would definitely put her above Jacob and Emma. Would I put her above Chris and Ashley? Honestly not, simply because of the fact that she's just so absent for the majority of the game. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. Like mentioned, Ashley and Chris definitely have very good screen time management. Honestly, Ideal would have good focus all the way through while never having too much nor, you know, having too little. But Laura definitely as a character, she's a badass fun girl. Yeah, she kicks ass. Like mentioned, Chapter 7 is a big in the Quarry in which she's the center stage of. Not really her fault as a character though, it's just horribly paced. But I think that's totally okay. And man, I definitely have to put them both above Alex. Well, I mean, I would actually put okay, so Nick and Max are the same issue as Matt and Jessica, just in 50 times more worse, where they are so limited in terms of screen time and, you know, lots of potential wasted. Even more so in this case because their character always turn into werewolves and there's just no variety in replays whatsoever. I definitely have to put Max has more personality than Nick, but like his character is really a glorified supportive character, which is why I can't help myself but put him just barely above Alex. Why is that fair though? Poor Alex, man. Yeah, I think it's okay. And Nick, I would put like seriously, those 4 villains here did so much more for me in terms of characters and story than Nick. Maybe even Vince. I would put Nick like my goodness. Like I mentioned, I didn't write everything down here in perfect detail. Did just a few notes, so this is still a bit freestyle, but fuck it, we put him here. Huge waste of potential. And like mentioned, cool actor. I really love his actor, but unfortunate. Ryan is A tier for sure. And I would put him right next to Laura. I think that's very fair. He's a good presence throughout the game. He's a bit of a main character in some degree. Obviously due to the fact that he's also among the squad that takes on the finale crew and everything, like the, you know, Salas. Some people didn't like him, some thought he was boring and whatnot, but I think he was really good. And Justice Smith did a good job at delivery. I like Ryan. Ryan is amazing, definitely among the best they did. Somewhere in the middle of A tier. Travis is really freaking cool. You don't see him that much as a character. Yeah, he does have that much screen time, but his importance is definitely not to be undervalued. He's really cool. And I mean, it's also Ted Raimi, who's a fucking legend. I would put him above Abigail and Nick. I think I remember having him ranked as like my 4th highest character in the Quarry, which is why I would technically have to put him between Ryan and Laura. But looking at it, and like mentioned for the rest of the game, I think it's fairer to do this. Because again, these two have so much variety for replays, but Travis is kind of always still stuck in the same way in some way. Like, yes, in Chapter 9 it gets pretty cool, and, you know, the different outcomes that can happen there are pretty nice, but yeah, I think this is definitely fair in the bigger picture. I think it's good to like separate the rankings from the Quarry and Until Dawn to a ranking for all games into one another, you know. when that specific game, Travis might be 4th place, but like if you then look at everything, you need to consider, you know, all the characters. I think then it's definitely a bit fairer to rank it this way. The rest of the Hackett crew, Bobby is really fucking cool. I don't think I need to explain it to anyone. Bobby's B tier. I would put I would honestly put him on the same level as the Stranger, simply because he's so fucking entertaining. Bobby's extremely fun. Chris Hackett is a case of very wasted potential. You just don't get enough screen time of him. The few scenes that he did have were really fun, nonetheless. But he's like... yeah. I mean, it's David Arquette, but I'm sorry. There's just not enough scenes of him to merit any higher ranking. God damn it, man. Poor Alex. It feels so unfair. Because, again, he's a main character in some way, but, like, it's just so bland. Constance is a bit of a similar case for these two. You just don't have that much screen time with them. Which is why I definitely want to put them higher than C tier. But... where in C tier? I think I would put above Nick, because they were definitely more high. I think I would put Constant above Nick. And Jedediah below Nick. I think that's somewhat fair. Yeah, I think that's okay. Eliza is a very similar case to Dr. Hill. She's really freaking entertaining. I would put her below Hill, but like right next to him. I think she did a huge impact on the game in terms of like enjoyability. Her scenes were always memorable, always fun. She actually plays a big role in the story too. In some way, I mean, Dr. Hill as Josh's psychiatrist as well. But yeah, Eliza's also pretty good. I've turned to speed this thing up, by the way. I want to end this around in an hour, so with like 40 more minutes. The Devil in Me. We kick things off with the two best characters in the game that are, in my opinion, A tier, Aaron and Charlie. Charlie has a lot going on for his character in terms of what can happen with him. He can die quite early. But if he doesn't, then there's so much cool things that can happen. Along the fact, you know, this complicit ending where, you know, the Met frames him and the crew believes it, and that leads to him getting murdered. Plus, I feel like his arc as a character is also great, where, depending on your choices, he can actually be a bit more, you know, he looks at himself a bit differently, which I think is quite nice. Plus, I love that character arc where at the end he stops smoking, right? And it's like, you know, not anymore. I feel like that's pretty nice. I would put him above Nick. And Aaron I would keep at the bottom of A tier. Aaron has that thing to her where she's just unimaginably likable. Yeah, huge likability bonus. But she sadly is a bit of a Matt Jessica case where she then just doesn't get enough screen time to get her into a higher position. I think I don't put her above Abigail. Because I was about to say, Aaron actually has a lot of amazing deaths though that I feel like are very notable. But Abigail too. Yeah, don't forget, Abigail got the entire, you know, I mean, she can get her head ripped off by a lover that turns into a werewolf, so, you know. That actually makes me think, should I put Abigail above Nick? Nah, Nick is bad. I think there's so many badass scenes, I think that alone warrants a spot above her. Kate is, in my opinion, actually all the three remaining characters are like B tier for me. They're great, but you know, they're great, but that's about it. Mark is like here because he's a bit similar to Alex, kind of bland in some way, but I think he definitely has way more qualities to himself nonetheless. And for these two, I would put I would put above Conrad for sure. Would I put him below these two? It's crazy to have Bobby and the Stranger both some of these main characters, but man, they just really were more entertaining in most parts. I think I would put them. I mean, honestly, let's not lie, both of them were cool and really entertaining. I think it's fair to do this, I guess. I think I still like Matt and Jessica more, even though they obviously had way less screen time and importance in the story. But I think this is very fair, right? Yeah, among the top of B tier is cool. I think that's totally fair. Morello, whatever, man. B tier, like, okay, I didn't hate it or whatever, but like, you know. Yeah. Matt is, in my opinion, A tier for sure. As a killer, as a character, he was really, really freaking great. And I would honestly put him above Travis in that sense. Matt was fucking great. Technically, it's just a silent killer with a mask and an axe. But I feel like he was really well done. His backstory was cool and interesting. And that ending with him where you see him, you know, being still alive in some way. And just the things he does, you know. The ultimatum ending alone gives him a really high case here. To put him high up to A tier. Matt is fucking great. And last but not least, we get to the casting of Frank Stolen, which we obviously ranked very recently. So those rankings will be very reflective in that. So I'd say we actually don't go in this order, but we go into order that we had ranked it back then. Which means we put Robert into D tier. Very, 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 you know, standard character. Don't hate him, don't, you know, but like, whatever, very restricted supportive character with not a lot of screen time. Augustine is a very, you know, similar to Dar. She's like very stereotypical in some way. Like, well, Dar's like the stereotypical war officer. She's like the very stereotypical evil businesswoman that actually serves like a higher force. We say that so many times. It's like, you know, she reminds me a bit of Sigourney Weaver's role from The Cabin in the Woods, where at the end Sigourney Weaver just comes up in her nice outfit and being like, yeah, you know, the ancient ones and blah, 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 explains this type of situation. It was literally just exactly that, right? If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's okay. Then on rank 7, unfortunately, we had Bonnie, because like mentioned, as fun as the character is for what it was, she was just so unbelievably underwritten. Yeah, so much wasted potential, which is why I can't put her higher than C tier. And I would have to put her here, I think. Somewhere in the middle of C tier, where she definitely has a bit more on-screen relevance than these characters. I'm so sorry, Alex, man, but yeah, I think putting her somewhere in the middle is fine. I think that's totally okay. Then we had Madison, who I would put... Do I want to put her in... No, I don't think I want to put her into B tier. Or? What did I wrote down? I actually think I put her into C tier, right? I think I did. Or? No, I actually did put it into B tier. Yeah, I think bottom of B tier somewhat is fair. Again, the thing is, I didn't hate her. Like I like mentioned, if I just thought she was a bit too safely written. I feel like they could have just put much more of an edge to her personality than just being like. She was a student, right? She was a student. Her mother was Bonnie. That's kind of it. Yeah, she was likable, sure, but like, I think this is fair. I think that's totally fair. Then we had Stan. Stan was really, really fun. Stan was a great character, and I would put him somewhere. I would put him here. I would actually even put him above Conrad, because Stan, like mentioned, I feel like added such an entertaining presence. Some hate him, some think he was just annoying and a dick. I thought Stan had some of the most entertaining moments of the playthrough. He has a bit of a similar role to Eliza and Dr. Hill, where he's always present in some way, but like more of a it's somewhat of a narrator role. Yeah, I feel like you could definitely consider his role that, because he was present a lot, he was always there when we swapped back to Madison without actually ever being like playable himself. I think that's very fair. Then we had Jame, which unfortunately, like mentioned, suffered from just also not having enough screen time. I would put him... He's, like mentioned, in that sense very similar to Matt and Jessica, where he's also still extremely likable, so I think this is very fair. Right? Yeah, I think Rame as a character definitely did more for me than Kaden and Jamie. But Rame, definitely, I can't put him higher than B tier for sure. I think this is fair. So, like mentioned, same thing with Aaron, same thing with Caitlyn. Even if the character sometimes isn't that insanely featured as much as other characters, if the character is really likable, then that's so much worth. Chris is A tier for sure. I would put her... maybe above Nick? Again, Nick as a character was a bit personality-wise bland, but like I mentioned, just as a character with action sequences, just really fucked. But like, Chris has... I think I would definitely have to put Chris... Actually, I think I need to put... She's very similar to Emma. Putting her next to Emma is actually perfect, because her and Emma are very, very similar in that case. Huge story importance. Or like, what means huge, but like, lots of variety and replays for this character. While having a very similar... striking personality that may be off-putting for some people, but very likable for others. I think Chris has definitely been more likable than Emma. But... like mentioned, I think having Jacob and Emma next to each other is very smart and makes sense. I thought Chris was definitely more likable than Emma. But... and Chris, I feel like Chris's story arcs are a bit more interesting too, though. The entire thing with the being sent back in time and whatnot. Even though, never mind, like mentioned, pissed me off that it wasn't resolved that properly. If she just gets sent back, then that's kind of it. And if she does stay, then... I don't know. Yeah, I think I actually keep her below Emma simply because thinking of her entire time travel thing annoys me, because it just wasn't done as properly as it could have been. This is fair. Linda! Also A tier. But like mentioned, we ranked both her future form and her 1980s form. Or variant, basically, in some way. Which is why I would probably put her... I don't think I want to put her above Jacob. Because again, Linda as a character was likable and well written, but sometimes the entertainment factor is just worth a bit more. Which is why I think I would do this. I think this is very fair. In some way, or... yeah, I don't know, man, Jacob did a bit more to me. Obviously, she's much more of a main character than Jacob, but Jacob had so many funny scenes and memorable moments, man. Which is why I'm actually debating if I want to put him above these two now, after all. No, it's fine. It's fine. Plus, Linda, in terms of the story, is actually also very boring. Actually, we do this. Yeah, that's fair. Because Linda, like, nothing really changes with her story too, right? Again, this is also now a problem with the casting of Frank Stone's writing, where the characters themselves are actually quite good, but like not as good as they could be because the story just didn't give them enough to work with. Linda as a character is nice, and the entire idea with her, you know, becoming this book writer and producer, whatnot, is cool. But if you think about it, what does a character really do throughout the game other than just walking around filming with a character before the end of the game, right? Yeah. Honestly, because of that, I might actually do this. I think this is fair. Maybe I actually want to put Matt above them. Maybe I should have put Linda a bit lower. Yeah, because now that I think about it, this story aspect is just really, really important here for me too. Yeah, maybe I should have done it differently. Again, it's once again the difference between ranking just the game itself and ranking for the entire franchise. But then I think I would have to put Linda. Actually, no, then that's fair. Then that's very fair. Yeah, then this is totally okay. I think I would definitely put Chris above Linda for this specific ranking because Chris just has a bit more going on story-wise. On the other hand, Sam, I like Vision Top was really, really badass, and I think I would put him right next to Ryan. I think these two are very similar in that sense, where they not been so damn much screen time. Ryan got a lot of screen time actually in comparison, but Sam was just fucking badass, man. He's such a simple character without that much screen time, but like his scenes were among the best of his respective game, and alone that is huge. If a character's scenes are among the best of the respective game, even if it's not a lot, then it's worth so much. Chapter 1 is easily the best chapter, or like chapter 1 is easily the best chapter after the 13th and 14th one. And in both of those chapters, Sam is also like the best part of both. So, yeah. I think this is very fair to put him here. And then Frank Stone as a killer. I think I definitely enjoyed him more than Dumet. Simply because his second form is like really freaking cool and badass. And I think that's fair. Yeah. Could I put him above Linda? Maybe, but I think keeping him like a bit in the bottom of A tier is fine. Again, it's a bit difficult to rank these killer characters next to the normal ones, because you know it's like completely different roles in some way. But yeah, I do now just want to think if I maybe want to put all of the playable characters above those three. Now, even though they weren't playable and are more like, you know, killers and other supportive characters in some way, he's more of an anti-hero. I think I would put him above them. Again, this is such a mood thing. Another day I would probably maybe say this, or I would maybe, you know, do that on another day. This is really just about how I'm feeling right now. It's fucking Ted Raimi, it's okay. I'm sorry, Charlie, it's Ted Raimi. We keep this. I was really debating if I would do this or not. But yeah, this is fine. And honestly, we barely see Frank too. Yeah, let's do this. I think that's fair. Ted Raimi needs more love. We didn't see all of them that much, but it's fucking Ted Raimi, man. Ted Raimi just added so much flavor to Travis. I think this is totally fair. And that leads us to our beloved Curator. Once again, rest in peace, Tony Pankhurst, the man that gave the face to this character. Technically S tier, obviously. But I feel like it's so hard to rank him. I mean, he's basically in some degree Eliza and Dr. Hill, where he's that narrative character in between. But yeah, I mean, again, it's very difficult to really make a case here, blah blah blah. But like, really, it's really difficult to put these narrative characters next to the actual characters. But obviously, the Curator is one of the best characters I've ever done, and he's the face of the Dark Pictures anthology for a reason. And it would be disrespectful to not include him into S tier. His dialogue, his voice, his character lines, and everything, they are what makes the DPA games definitely so special to some degree. So this is more than fair. So the last thing that I really need to think about is these two. Do I want to put Eric and Rachel into GOAT tier? Honestly, I think that's actually where it ends. If you would look at S tier just as that, as, you know, just a tier of the best characters they've ever done, or just like the highest tier in general, then I think that you can definitely make a case for both of them. But if you look at S tier as a sense of the GOATs, then you probably wouldn't. Like, if you think of all the best characters and the best things I've ever done in Supermassive games. Salim definitely comes up, Josh definitely comes up. People will think about the Wendigo, they will think about Jason with Salim, they will absolutely think about Dylan, they will 100% think of those 3 characters. Caitlyn is, like mentioned, the one character that might be a bit overrated here, but again, I just love her too much. I have to put it into ST, I'm sorry. Caitlyn fanboy. And obviously Curator as well, as the face of the Dark Pages anthology. So the only one you could, like, mention, like, those 9 here, unarguably S tier and gold status, the characters that people think of when they think about Supermassive games. It, like mentioned, a bit of a personal pick that I need to put up here. Would you say the same thing for Eric and Rachel? Do they have that status? Do they have that level? I mean, if anything, Chris and Ashley would probably be more in that spotlight simply because people know Unto Dawn more, for sure. You could actually make a case for all 4 of them, huh? I think keeping S tier / the GOATs to 10 characters to keep it a bit more exclusive in some way is very fair. And I, like mentioned, would put Caitlyn above these 2 just off of the likability factor, even though, like mentioned, both of them are so good and so cool. House of Ashes is so great, man. That's actually tough. It's actually tough. Because, like mentioned, in terms of especially Eric, man. I feel like especially Eric has a something about Eric was just so insanely intriguing. From his character writing, being like in a bit of a, you know, troubled position between trying to do the right thing, having to think about what the state wants, and, you know, his own intrigue about the vampires and whatnot. Badass as a character nonetheless, heroic in some way for sure. And like mentioned, just in terms of the impact that these 2 characters can have on the game and how much variety they bring to the table, Eric and Rachel are definitely among the highest. Fucking Christ. It's difficult. It's generally difficult. Yeah, and I could probably sit here another 5 minutes. This is now an ADHD moment, an OCD moment where I'm like, so... I can't decide. Yeah. I mean, again, A tier is basically the best. E tier is still the best tier, so having them at the top of A tier is obviously completely fair and completely reasonable. And I think, like mentioned, keeping the GOATs category to 10, basically my 10 favorite characters ever, I think that's fair. Yeah, these 10 are definitely my 10 favorite Supermassive Games characters, 100%. Curator, like mentioned, is a bit of a special pick here, but he just adds so much to the DPA games. I think I'm fine with it. A part of me isn't. Yeah, it's a bit of a just fucking put them up there now or don't type of situation, but I think it's okay. Or is it? This... And they're fucking badass soldiers too. Oh, and it's actually Tisdale. We keep it. It's fine. Top of A tier is more than fair enough. Yeah, let's not act like me not putting him into S tier means they're fucking shit characters. Is still definitely among the absolute top tier best they've ever done. So we keep it at that. We'll leave S tier at an exclusive number of 10. This is fine. And another day I would do this. And it's also fair. We keep it at that. And this is it. Alright. 1 hour and 10 minutes non-stop Supermassive Games talk. You guys had a blast with it. This was, like mentioned, arguably the most awaited tier list video of all, alongside the games one. What do you think of my ranking? Do you agree with it? Are there some picks that make you think, hell yeah? Are there some picks that make you think, you fucking idiot? Please tell me all about it down below in the comments as well. I will put the template link down below in the description as well. As a matter of fact, I think the easiest way to do it though, because making an entire ranking is probably a bit much, give me your top 10 GOATs. Yeah, the top 10 best characters that you would put up here. And yeah, I don't think there's much else to say other than we see each other. Even the music ended down time perfect. Other than that, we see each other tomorrow with the Until Dawn remake. Like mentioned, I will unfortunately be at work for a couple of hours after its release, so I won't be able to make videos about it up until like 8 hours later. So, but we will be uploading probably the entire playthrough over the weekend. So look forward to that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. So much for the support. See each other tomorrow for among one of the most exciting days we've had in a while. See you soon.